Pearson One-on-One, sponsored by Montlick Injury Attorneys.
My first guests tonight are a non-traditional power couple. Jessica Dupart is the founder and CEO of a multi-million-dollar hair care company, Kaleidoscope, and her wife is Shantae Harris Dupart, better known as rapper The Brat. They share their life, their love, and their new baby boy on the popular TV show, Brat Loves Judy, now in its third season. I sat down with them on Pride Night at the Atlanta Hawks game, where The Brat performed at halftime.
It's the Brat and JD today, baby. So lay back and listen as I catch up on pimpin' and I freak this new just like it's Astro and Simpson, cause say what? Let me hear you.
The Brat is the bomb. Her first album, Funkstified, went platinum and made her the first female solo rap act to receive platinum certification. She's been nominated for 2 Grammys, 3 Billboard Awards, a BET, and an MTV Award. She's busy on the Ricky Smiley Morning radio show and TV shows Dish Nation and Brat Loves Judy. 4 million followers love her on Instagram, and one of them is her wife, Jessica Dupart, also called Judy. What began as business soon became personal.
Yeah, I actually reached out to her team for her to do promo with me. And then she surprised me at one of my tour stops when I was on tour teaching entrepreneurs. So she popped up on me, yeah.
Yeah, I was doing promo for Miracle Drops, and she was in Atlanta doing a tour, and I was like, I wanted to see the woman who I was, doing the promo for, and I go into this place, and it's like packed. It's like a convention center packed, and I'm like, okay, what does this lady do? I thought she sold hair products, and it took her like 30 minutes to get to me. I'm sitting there waiting, like, I know I'm not waiting this long. I'm the back. But she was signing autographs and taking pictures. I was like, okay. So I patiently waited. When she finally got over to me, I was like, okay, it's crazy in here. Oh, I'm going to the studio, so let's link later.
And did you know at that time that she was the one?
No, I had no idea. I didn't even know she was interested at that time. She had been around every celebrity, a lot of celebrities doing promo for her and stuff. So I just thought, she wanted me to do more promo.
So did you know she was gay? And did you know she was gay?
I didn't know she was, no. Did you know I was? I wasn't out the closet yet, but everybody feel like they knew.
So I told her I was interested in her, so I didn't know if she was gay or not, but I was going to find out when I said it.
Oh my God, yes, that night.
Yeah, she said, let's link, right, she said, let's link later, so I thought she was meaning,
no,
let's link later.
I wasn't.
So when I met up with her and I was like, oh, she was trying to do business? I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to tell her what I'm here for.
I would never be that blunt with somebody like, yo, let's link later. No.
Yeah.
I would be very respectful. I'm not like that. So she gets there, we're talking about hair stuff and, and she goes, I'm interested in you. And I'm like,
not exactly. So we were talking about things that we interested in. So she was telling me stuff that interests her, and I said, well, I'm interested in you.
And, oh man, it messed me up, Monica. It so threw me. I was so lost. I mean, oh my goodness, I burned a hole in the couch. I tried to pour me some drink to calm my nerves down. I poured it and missed my whole mouth. Like, it was so embarrassing. I had butterflies. I was nervous. I was shaking. Like, I looked in the mirror like, girl, you get yourself together. You the brat. What are you doing? But yeah, it messed me up because I had never had anybody just say, I'm interested in you. Like, bam, like that. Like, I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't know what to do with myself.
How does she improve you?
Oh my goodness. She makes me better 100%. Oh man, my anger, she helps me think about my anger. She helps me to be more grateful for the little things. She helps me with my patience. She helps me not stress about things. Like the other day, I was in the baby room and I left the water running because I was washing bottles and it ran through to the basement and it made the basement leak. And she wasn't there and I called her. I was panicking. I was upset. She said, let it go. Don't live in it. Don't live there. We'll get it fixed. Let it go. You're going to have a great day today. She makes me think about financials better. She just makes me really think, I feel like a full-blown adult being her wife. She teaches me so much, and I think that's what's so great about it. And because I love her so much, I'm willing to listen, And I don't like to listen to a lot of people. I like to have my way and do things my way, but she makes a lot of sense, and everything she says is almost right.
Almost. Jessica, what about the Brat?
I was fortunate enough to watch an amazing love story with my parents. And inexperienced in life, I never thought that I would be able to see that again or see that for myself. And then getting with her, I've now not only been able to experience a great love story, but a better love story than I saw witnessing. So I feel like she renewed my faith in humanity. She renewed my faith in love. And she teaches me how to be, because I'm a person that turns the other cheek often, so she teaches me how to actually try to stand up for myself, because I will be the person that a lot of people might walk over, because I feel like God is going to get me, going to get them back. I don't have to do anything, but she's the person that helped me say no, or not turn my cheek as many times, or not give as many chances. And yeah, she makes me better in that, even in my business decisions, because there's a lot of stuff I'll let slide, but now it's like, no, we ain't doing that.
Paying them people.
Right, I'm fine. You're not getting 17 chances. You fired after the second time.
Faith and love. Coming up, Brat and Jessica share what it's like raising their son in the church as a same-sex couple. Plus, how another couple tackles marriage and home remodeling on their hit HGTV show. Brat is from Chicago, but Atlanta became home thanks to producer Jermaine Dupri and his So-So Def label, who produced her first album, walked her down the aisle when she married Judy in February of 2022, and helped refine her name.
Well, I got the nickname Brat from being a spoiled brat, and then when I got ready to be a rapper, I decided to keep it and turn it into something positive, but I couldn't use Brat because it was taken, so Jermaine Dupri decided to put the in front of it, and the was taken, so he said, DA, we'll call you Brat, and that's how I got it.
You said you got it because you were a spoiled brat?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you mean by you were a spoiled brat?
Well, my grandparents pretty much spoiled me. My parents spoiled me. I got a lot of things when I was a kid, like all the Jordans that I wanted, all the British Knights I loved. I was a sneakerhead even as a kid. Like mostly everything I wanted, I probably got as a kid. And if I didn't, I probably threw a tantrum to get it, and I ended up getting it. I'm thinking that my son is going to do the same thing to pay back.
I'm going to say, there's such a thing as payback.
I heard.
True Legend is Judy's fourth child and Brat's first. Getting pregnant was not easy, but once accomplished with Judy's eggs and donated sperm, Brat delivered True Legend at the age of 48. So, how has that been in going back to performing? How about breastfeeding?
Oh man, breastfeeding is a job. I didn't realize it was going to be such a job, but I love being a mommy. I love catering to our son. I love just loving him and watching him grow and learning his little ways and stuff. Breastfeeding is like every 3-4 hours. I got a pump in the back. Like you have to be committed to it because that's his source of food. And I'm not going to have my child be like lacking food. So I make sure I pump when I'm at work, wherever I am, to make sure he's good. I love it.
Now, Judy, you had children. So how did you get her through this process? Because I remember you did have a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get her through this process?
I supported everything, no matter what the question was. I tried to document as much of the journey as I could.
I had dumb questions.
Right, but I never made her feel like any question was too ridiculous of an ask.
Right.
So I supported her. I made sure anytime she was real inquisitive or anything seemed like it's wrong, or because she worries, right? So I try to make her as worryless as possible during the process. I try to support her during the process.
Everything. Why don't you?
We went to all of our appointments. We went to the maternal fetal specialist,
yes,
to the gynecologist. Right.
Dr. Jackie.
Yeah, and I just made sure, I told her every day how good she was doing. I made sure to tell her that multiple times a day. You're doing so good.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end, because she started to experience some of the spreading of the pelvic area.
Oh. I didn't like that. That was probably the worst part for me.
Do you think you'll have a second?
No. No, not myself. It probably wouldn't be a good thing because of my age and stuff.
Last question. When you think about where you two are now with this adorable little boy, true legend, what is it you want for him? Because remember, he is coming into a world that whereas we are very accepting, how do you explain to him or get him prepared for what will come next when people question his parenting?
I believe, and this might be the rainbow butterflies in me that thinks everything is perfect and the world doesn't have bad people, but I believe if we raise our son up to show him what love is and the value of love, that everything else will align. I do feel like the details will have to be ironed out and explained, but I feel like as long as a human being can learn that love conquers everything, it shouldn't matter a race, a gender. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter denomination, like none of that. None of that should matter. You should love a human being for being a human being, and they should be great at being a human being.
Definitely. And we'll explain everything to him. We'll make sure he knows and understands everything. We're going to be the best parents that we can be to him. And we're going to raise a child in the way that he should go.
And that includes raising true legend in the church. He was christened by their pastor, Reverend William Murphy III, at the Dream Center Church of Atlanta. How do you deal with people who have a problem with your relationship in the church? Your church, William Murphy and the members there are very accepting. But how do you deal with it?
You know what? Very recently, this thing has kind of taken legs. Where people are having an open discussion about things that are accepted and aren't accepted, and we are in a different time. And if you're not willing to accept people as they are in the church, where are they supposed to go? I feel like as Christians, we're supposed to welcome people no matter where they are on their faith walk. We're not supposed to judge people on what they're doing in their life. Just because my sin is visible don't mean that you are sinless. So I feel like the church that we belong to is a different kind of church because they are inviting to everyone, and it's causing people that may not ever have had faith before in God to now start to want to have a relationship. And even though they might not stop cursing that day, they might not stop doing what they want to do that day, they are now starting their journey and having a faith walk. So if somebody never had a prayer life before and now they're starting to pray, even if it's 3 times a week,
a good thing.
Right. If it's saving souls, is saving souls. Why does it have to be isolated and black and white? So that's just my take on it.
And I know He holds my hand.
I was surprised to learn that the one singing about I know he holds my hand was you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I grew up in church. Me and Ty Tribbett used to switch out on the drums together in the Pentecostal church. Yeah, I know everything, the Bible front to back. I am a grandma's baby. I went to church 7 days a week. So, yeah, my faith is in God. I'm a true God-fearing woman.
Married to Real Estate is a popular show on HGTV. It's also a reality show about Egypt Sherrod, her husband Mike Jackson, their 3 daughters, and their business, updating and flipping houses. The couple shared with me how they successfully managed being married to real estate and married to each other. I sat down with them at their Indigo Road Home Furnishings and Real Estate office in Marietta. What you see on the TV show is what you get when you sit down with Egypt and Mike. They are popular because they are real, and when people see them in public, anything can happen.
Okay, so I was at a big box store the other day, right? And this young lady recognized who I was. So humbly, I'm like, oh, hey, how are you? Appreciate you for watching the show. She goes, you have to take a picture for my mother. I said, let's double it. Put her on FaceTime. So she puts mama on FaceTime. She has a bonnet on. And she goes, baby, what friend? She turns the phone. She goes, falls off the back of the couch, pops up on the TV screen again. And she goes, Mike, where is Egypt? I just love you two so much. And then she's talking to her daughter. I can't believe you got me on my head with my bonnet. I can't believe you. But hi, Mike.
And so this is funny to us because at home we're just us.
Yeah.
But we're a woman with a bonnet on. True. I have this video. We're leaving out the door and she's coming in and she notices Mike. and just screamed and hollered, and her teeth fell out. It's on video. I can provide the footage. You want the footage?
Love you and thank you. Bye, y'all.
Y'all come. Look, her teeth didn't come out. Her teeth fall out, and then she goes, sorry, puts them back in and says, I love Mike, and wraps her leg around him. Meanwhile, I'm holding the camera. So apparently that's what I do. I'm the camera woman.
This is how folks react to Mike when they see him.
So we'll get stopped in the supermarket, and it's, hey, you know how you get your baby to sleep in her own room, Egypt? And I'll get, the whole line. Or, hey, I love you guys. All right, this is how you keep it sexy for your husband and stay married for 40 years. It's that kind of love, sisterhood, family, auntie-ism that we get, and we really do enjoy it.
It was love at first sight, but it took fate to seal the deal. The home improvement call that finally got these two together a year after meeting. Plus, how they managed to keep family first on and off camera. Egypt and Mike dated for 6 years before marrying in 2010. They met when she was a national radio personality and he was a DJ.
The first time I ever saw her was at a nightclub she was hosting, and it was from afar, and the light was literally only shining on her. And I said, that's my wife. Never met in my life. So that evening, I did everything impossible to try to get through the security. I jumped over barricades, all types of stuff. Got to her, said, listen, let's exchange numbers. I'm bringing it down a little bit. Said, let's exchange numbers. Didn't happen. So now, 6 months later, Puerto Rican Day Parade float, New York City. I'm on a float with my group. She happens to walk past me 3 times. I didn't even realize it.
I didn't happen to walk past. I was trying to get his attention, but I was one of those women, I didn't know how to talk to a guy. I have absolutely no game, have absolutely no Mac. So I was hoping I would walk by and, he would notice me from afar, and it just didn't happen. So by the 7th time of walking by, I just went and got some French fries. And of course, that's when he says hello, when I'm stuffing my face with French fries. So it still didn't happen. We didn't get together then.
Still didn't happen because you had your girlfriend with you, and I was like, oh, you're not about to shoot me down in front of your girlfriend.
And inside, I was like, gosh, I wish he asked me for my number.
But she said, because I jumped off no shirt, she goes, oh, if I knew you looked like that, I probably would have gave you the number. I'm like, oh, so what did I look like? Roadkill last time?
You look like caramel biscuits with honey on it.
So fast forward, 6 months, we meet again, didn't happen. Then another 6 months, she gets a call for a roof job.
Yes, so I was flipping a house in Newark, New Jersey, and, I kind of got into it with the construction team. Yeah, and I decided I was going to watch a video on how to tar a roof.
No, you didn't.
So I got up on the roof and started tarring it, but it had a rotted spot, and I fell through the rotted spot in the roof. So right about then, I realized I needed some help. I called my mentor, who sent his team over, coincidentally. And so he gets out the car. I say, I know you. Wait a minute. I didn't ask for a DJ. I asked for a contractor. So he says, well, I can leave. You want me to leave? But that's kind of the start of us.
Yeah.
How we fell in love over black molds.
Now, what's fascinating about this is you two actually do a podcast where you talk about marriage and money.
Yes.
What was the genesis of that?
What was the genesis of that, Michael Jackson?
Well, that came about because I figured we needed to reach a broader audience. So with our show, there's a certain caliber, there's a certain age rank, right? But when you think of podcasts, you think of Generation Z, you think of millennials. And I said, that's our audience as well. And we have more to say. And our thing is, we're not experts at it, but we have some experience. So why not open the mic and tell people about our experiences?
So it was a great idea. I just wasn't ready to hear it at 1 o'clock in the morning. And he literally, so we're in bed, Monica, and he's, babe, I got an idea. This happens a lot, by the way. Yes, Mike. Why don't we do a podcast? When are we gonna fit a podcast into our life? Mike, babe, I got it. Okay, talk to me in the morning. Meanwhile, morning comes and I say, that was an amazing idea. And usually that's what happens in our relationship. He's like the quarterback. He'll come up with all the ideas and I'm the running back. Give it to me, I'll run the play. And that's how we have our podcast now, which is a lot of fun.
Very much so.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been getting a lot from it. Most of the feedback is, it's really great to see a couple that can balance work, have fun, still love each other, and teach others about healthy marriage.
Right.
So, yeah.
Without being too ratchet.
We're a little ratchet. A little ratchetness doesn't hurt.
And you really don't balance, you juggle. So how do you all juggle?
Woosah. Listen, it is an extreme juggling act. We just happen to have an amazing support system.
Yeah.
It would not work otherwise. We got the aunties, we have the uncles, we got the cousins here. You know, we have people flying from New Jersey to support us, people come from Florida. And that's all because they believe in what we have to offer and where we're headed, right?
It does take a village. We have 3 kids, and they're of 3 different age ranges. We literally have a 22-year-old. That's my baby Simone. Kendall's 11 and 5'9" now. Monica, I don't know when that happened. And then Harper, she's 4. But she's boss
49?
baby. Yeah, she's like, we literally believe sometimes at night, she gets up, puts on a suit, and goes out to save the world. I mean, that's this child. Harper, tell Daddy how much you wanted to charge for lemonade.
How much?
$10.
$10?
Inflation.
Inflation?
They all need something different. And we're just really grateful we have an incredible support system and family. We're there for them just like they're there for us. Our big dream is to sell all of our homes and build a homestead where everybody lives together. I'm speaking that into existence. But
You speak about it every day, so
I started designing
it's coming.
So that is our dream, because family's everything for us.
But outside of the support system, it works because we work. You understand what I'm saying? Nothing else would work if we didn't. So we continue to make sure we communicate, make sure we like each other, make sure we continue to date, right? Not just mom and dad and business partners. We got to have that in between as well. Otherwise, it just would just be all over the place.
The funny thing I think I've seen on the show is when you all disagree.
What you don't see is what's on the editing room floor. You see it cleaned up, but there is a moment every now and again. Can y'all turn off the cameras? Okay, babe, can we really talk about this? It's real life. So we're constantly evolving individually, which means we have to leave room for each other to grow as well as a couple. So every few years we find that we're in this phase of where we have to re-meet. Not who was Mike 20 years ago. Babe, what do you need from me now? Who do I need to be to step up to be there for you and support you the way you need me now?
Up next, we take a trip down memory lane, how Egypt and Mike's humble beginnings continue to drive their success today. Egypt and Mike are from the Northeast. He's from New York with 2 sisters. She's from Philadelphia.
I'm the eldest of 4. I have a sister and 2 brothers. My mother raised my sister and I, and we're very close. We're 17 months apart. If you meet her, her name's Tawan. If you meet her, you think she's the eldest because that's just how she's a nurse. So she's always taking care of everybody. And you need to sit down. You're doing too much. Get a real job. She doesn't think what I do is real. She didn't understand TV. You should have stayed in law school. You know.
And that's the thing. Originally, you were supposed to be a lawyer.
Well, that was the plan.
But you went to communication school too.
Well, so long story. I did an internship as a paralegal and quickly determined that being a lawyer was not in the cards for me because I wanted to have fun. I wanted to be happy every day, ignite joy wherever I went. And when I looked around that office, which shall remain nameless because they work for me now, when I look around that office, they were very unhappy. And I would talk to many of the women who were wonderful and had become mentors at some point. And they were saying that they spend so much time looking at paperwork and documents and posturing themselves to fight, that when you spend 50% of your time at work, it innately becomes a part of who you are, the very fabric of your being, and they wish that they had chosen a career that was more joyful. And really taking that bit of information, I realized that I couldn't do what everyone else expected me to do. I had to follow my own path.
So, while she's growing up, you're growing up where?
I'm growing up in Hempstead, Long Island, which is in New York City, right? Single mother and tons of cousins, as I said. I'm in an area where you didn't know if you were gonna make it or not, right? So I'm happy from where I come from, but again, like I said, the area was, you make it or you don't. There was no really in between. So when I go back, I look around and those that do recognize me are so proud. It's a great feeling, an amazing feeling. And they're like, keep going. You gotta keep doing what you're doing because you're representing us well. And I'm like, I can't stop. I can't stop. And I wanna bring my daughters back there so they can see where Dad came from and all that he had to do to get out of the neighborhood he was in, right? But I came up, humble beginnings, worked with my grandfather and my uncle.
Who taught you how to do all this stuff you do now?
Grandfather and uncle. They had their own construction business, so I would always be with them. Now, in construction, you're not supposed to be on these sites unless you're 16 and then actually doing work at 18. But it's their construction business, and back then, it wasn't as stringent. So we would be there, they would be showing me things, but they wouldn't allow me to until I got up a certain age, and they would say, go get that, go do this, be mindful of this, let me show you how the strings go. And that bug just stayed with me. So when I was DJing, for instance, I travel the world, be DJing in Dubai, come back, be on a construction site, 6 a.m. in the morning.
And I met him in that sort of Dubai environment, and what I fell in love with was the humility of his everyday. I fell in love with the grunt work. He was this gorgeous man who didn't know how handsome he was and had a heart of gold. I got to see him when he was working on one of my investment properties in just a completely different light. And that is what was super sexy to me. Oh my gosh. Forget all that DJ stuff, sir. You know how to fix something? And I love his humility, and he's been the same one since day one. You know what I mean? Obviously you get to this point when you have children, we always want that next generation to do better. We always want to provide more so they don't have to struggle the way that we struggled. And then Mike and I asked ourselves one day, are we actually handicapping our children? Because we're giving them so much and protecting them so much. They have to build grit the same way we had to build grit. I remember, walking to school or catching the XH bus and in the subway to get to school when I was 7. Back then you could, it was safe.
Right.
And my grandparents would send us around the corner to go get the groceries, and we had to make $10 stretch. But that taught us the value of $1 as well. There were so many things that our kids have not had to do. So we decided to take a trip down memory lane. And remember, we went to Philly. I grew up on Widener Place in Philadelphia, the Broad and Olney area, in a little townhome that my grandparents purchased for $17,000. And when I was in school, I lived in the same bedroom that my mom and my aunt shared. And it was probably the size of a closet. You could fit a twin bed in there, nothing more. But what you could fit were your dreams. And we were vision boarding before you knew what vision boarding was. Cutting out pictures from Black Beat and Right On magazine and places you wanted to go, people you wanted to meet. Michael Jackson on the ceiling, Prince on the ceiling. And I used to jump on the bed and kiss them both because Michael Jackson was my husband and Prince was my lover. And I married Michael Jackson. But, I say all that to say we decided to bring our kids down memory lane so they could really understand that we weren't born into this. We had to work. And when we're gone, you're gonna have to work to sustain it and teach your kids how to do the same, not just wealth, but character. So we took our kids to 1703 Widener Place. It's a lovely family that lives there now. I cried when I saw them sitting on the steps because I had memories. And my daughter just stared, Kendall, you used to live here? How? And I said, yup. And Mommy used to jump double dutch right there. That was the highlight of the week. And Mommy got in her first fight on that terrace. And Nana and Maymay came outside in their pink curlers and made me fight those girls so I didn't have to run home from school every day anymore. But that's the stuff. That's the stuff that we want to keep alive for our kids so that they, number one, understand Mommy and Daddy love you and we're going to be here for you, but you've got to grow and create your own path, your own indigo road, and it's not going to always be beautiful, but that's the stuff that builds character and that'll make your story worth telling.
So you've got so much going on HGTV. How do your kids, particularly Simone, because she's the oldest of the three, how do they carve out their piece of who they are? It's difficult being your daughters.
To be honest with you, I don't know if they try to compare themselves or live up to who we are. Especially with this day and age where a lot of teenagers are comparing themselves to what they see on social media, right?
Yeah.
So for us, we just happen to be cool parents.
Still to come, Egypt and Mike share what they love most about each other. Plus, he's a local politician, award-winning author, and a person you should know. I go one-on-one with Michael Thurmond when we return.
Egypt and Mike are in their third season of Married to Real Estate, and they believe in keeping it real.
It looks like you're forcing it.
Because I only
Yes
have
and no.
this one left.
Well, that was one of the biggest things for us behind the scenes. We were very adamant about having say in what the audience sees. We had to have the right to be ourselves. Otherwise, we were not going to do it.
As a matter of fact, the way the entire show started, it was during COVID. A lot came out of that. Mike was following our business on his cell phone around the house. And at one point, I sat down and looked at all the footage and said, there's a show here, babe. Edited it together. We put the sizzle and took it to HGTV. And that is how Married to Real Estate came about. So when things go into development and a lot of people have their hands in it, and Mike and I felt like maybe we were slipping away and we had to have a heart-to-heart of this is going to be about our business, our family, and our love, which this has got to work after TV. So if we can't stay in charge of that narrative, we can't do the show. And luckily we had some incredible people who I'd already been working with for years at HGTV who said, y'all got it.
So I have to ask you, what is the thing you love most about him?
His heart. There's a lot to love about Mike, but
Hey now, she said keep it PG,
hey,
come on.
girl, when they leave, it's popping. We flirt. He matches my crazy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We're both Scorpios. And
I calm your crazy.
You match my crazy when the cameras aren't on. But we're not supposed to work.
Right.
But it's like yin and yang. But I really love his heart. He helps me be a better person. There are moments where, you know how Michelle Obama says, they go low, we go high? I'm like, no, I'm gonna go low real quick. I'm just gonna go low, I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna hide. I'm a work in progress. God's still working on me. But Mike will remind me, babe, we gotta go high. So he really forces me to stretch myself to be the better person that I know I can be. That I love about him.
All right, Mike, what do you love about her?
Say something good, because I just said something good.
Like I was gonna say something bad.
Something really good.
Stop it. You look. Everything, to be honest with you.
Sexy chocolate.
One of the things I said it at my wedding. She's my sunny day, my good news. She's my muse. I say muse even still to this day because there's so much that she does that inspires me. I mean, we're sitting in a vision that she had, right? And she kept plowing through. When she says she's gonna do something, she does it. So that's why when she comes to me with a list, I'm like, oh God, this is really gonna happen. Let me get ready. But that is sexy to me because you say it, you do it, right? And one of the things that I also love is the fact of how she remembers things when it comes to business or when it comes to a script or when it comes to having to get something done. She's like, babe, read this for me. And I'm like, okay, this is this and this. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And she'll come right behind me and go, this is all it has to be. And that's sexy to me. It turns me on. I'm like, girl, you go ahead. I'm like, watch this, y'all. Watch my baby. Watch my baby. She got it going on. So for me, again, she's my muse. It's her drive, the tenacity, and it just keeps me in awe.
You want to go on a date?
We're already on a date.
like
This is
you.
part of the date. You don't even know it. Just cute. Just cute.
Egypt and Mike are in their third season of Married to Real Estate. New episodes air Thursday at 9 p.m. on HGTV and are available to stream the same day on Max. My final guest tonight is someone you need to know. Michael Thurmond is the Chief Executive Officer of DeKalb County. He's an attorney and has touched lots of lives in various state positions. He sees himself as a historian. His latest book is James Oglethorpe, Father of Georgia, a founder's journey from slave trader to abolitionist.
Well, we were in England, a delegation 57 Georgians, historians, politicians, celebrating the 300th anniversary of his birth. And the plaque is erected near his tomb in the parish Church of All Saints in Cranham, England, about 19 miles northeast of London. I was stunned. I had never heard the father of Georgia described as a friend of the oppressed Negro. And it was at that moment I set out on this journey to determine whether or not that acclamation was true or false.
27 years you've worked on this.
27 years. And it's been an amazing journey. Monica, I've learned so much, but the biggest challenge was the things that I had to unlearn before I could actually access and learn and glean this new information.
What did you have to unlearn?
First, I had to unlearn the fact that Oglethorpe was known as a friend of poor people, of unemployed people. I had to unlearn it and expand it. I had to unlearn the fact that in Georgia, the Underground Railroad ran south, not north. That the closest free territory to Georgia was Spanish-controlled Florida. And not 10, not 100, but thousands of enslaved Georgians and later South Carolinians escaped to Florida, to Spain, and to the Seminole Territory.
When One-on-One continues, the lessons Thurmond hopes we can learn from the life of James Oglethorpe. The simple phrase, friend of the oppressed Negro, led Michael Thurmond on a journey to this book that he believes could be a help in today's political climate.
History, particularly American history, has become so toxic and so divisive. And I believe that if, in fact, that acclamation or that sentence was true, then that could provide a model for current and future leaders to be more expansive and inclusive and more progressive, and to recognize that we can evolve, we can grow, and consequently we can become better citizens and not just change ourselves, but also change the world around us.
It was fascinating to me to learn that when the colony was founded, slavery was not a part of it. As a matter of fact, they said there would be no slavery.
Of the 13 so-called British colonists, the original 13 colonists, Georgia was the only British colony to prohibit slavery prior to the American Revolution. Not New York, not Pennsylvania, not New Jersey or Rhode Island, but Georgia, the only British colony to prohibit slavery.
So what happened?
Well, what happened, of course, is Oglethorpe fought this very controversial battle with pro-slavery forces in Georgia and primarily in South Carolina. They fought and had this huge, very unvarnished debate about the efficacy of the enslavement of Black people from a moral, political, and military point of view. Ultimately, Oglethorpe lost the debate. He left Georgia in disgrace. He sailed to England in 1743, based on a court-martial and financial ruin.
The book details how a letter in Arabic from an enslaved Black man and a relationship with another led to Oglethorpe becoming an abolitionist. Thurmond says the life of James Oglethorpe influenced him at a difficult time in his life.
Well, after I had run for Congress and lost, and I'm in political exile again, and that's when I met James Oglethorpe while I was DFACS director during the era of welfare reform. And we were faced with this huge challenge of helping poor people who were unemployed get back into the workforce. I remember from middle school, I guess my World Book Encyclopedia, that Oglethorpe wanted to help debtors and impoverished British subjects to find a new life in the new world in this colony he would call Georgia. So he became the patron saint of DFACS. I hung his portrait in all the offices, and we used his vision for Georgia as our inspiration. And we helped over 90,000 families move from welfare to work.
Thurmond learned the value of hard work from his dad, who also valued education.
My father, who was a Georgia sharecropper, I was born not in Athens, but near Athens, if people know what that means.
Youngest of 9 children.
Youngest of 9 children. Father could not read or write, but loved education. And he decided, for whatever reason, to purchase a set of World Book encyclopedias. And that was like a family having a home computer now. And I set out not only to read the entire alphabet, the volume, but then to memorize it. And I just remember the G volume became my favorite.
What?
Georgia and Georgia history. Which, by the way, I still have that volume in my library to this day. And I think I was in the 3rd or 4th grade when Daddy bought them. So I just began to love Georgia history. There were very few references to Black Georgia. And so I wanted to include the accomplishments of African Americans and particularly African American Georgians into the historical narrative of our state.
So when you went to Payne College, you majored in religion and philosophy. What had you planned to do with that?
Well, actually, my mother had a plan for me. And my mother's plan was for me to be a minister.
What happened?
Well, there's a story. So, and I majored in, and I love philosophy and religion. I love it. The religion, obviously, and world religions in particular, but the philosophy doesn't teach you what to think, but how to think. And you are a fellow philosophy major, so you understand that. But I didn't tell you, I received a degree, I earned a degree, but I didn't get the call. So about a week before graduation, I decided, I said, I better tell Mom, because she's bragging to all her friends that Mike is graduating from Payne College and he's going into the ministry. So I called home. I'll never forget it, Monica. I called. Mom picked up the phone and said, Mom, I got something to tell you. I said, I got my degree, but I'm not going into the ministry. She says, what? I said, well, I didn't get the call. And the phone just went totally silent. I heard her call my dad. She said, Sidney, this boy, Mike says that he's not going into the ministry because he didn't get the call. And I remember what my dad said. He said, boy got the call, he just wasn't there to answer the phone. He was out partying, couldn't answer.
After college, law school in South Carolina, and then home to pursue his political dreams.
I've always wanted to be a Georgia politician. I liked it when my sisters, other kids playing cowboys and Indians, I was dreaming of being a Georgia politician. I'm sitting over there in rural Clark County, Georgia, watching Atlanta TV and watching Maynard Jackson and Andrew Young and Michael Lomax and all the others, and dreaming one day I might be able to make it. State Representative Bobby Hill, all of the people serving under the Gold Dome. And I was sitting there, all I really wanted to be was a Georgia politician.
Politics is where he's made history of his own. The first Black person since Reconstruction elected to represent Clark County in the Georgia State Legislature. The first Black person elected to a statewide office without prior appointment. Thurmond Baker was appointed Attorney General of Georgia by then Governor Zell Miller in 1997 and then was elected 3 times statewide.
My election back in 1998, it spoke more about the people who voted than it did about me. What it said was that even in 1998, there were a majority of Georgians who were willing to look at 2 candidates regardless of race or color, even party affiliation, and vote for the best candidate. It spoke volumes about the people of Georgia, more than it spoke about my abilities or my talents.
He also served as a DeKalb County school superintendent, a position his wife and daughter were reluctant for him to take.
Well, that's the only one of those jobs where Zola and Micaiah had an intervention. She came home and they set me down and said, you have lost your mind. They've been with me no matter what I tried to do or accomplish. That's the only time that my wife and daughter have basically said absolutely no.
And you still did it?
I still did it. Because,
why?
Well, 100,000 children. And if DeKalb had lost its accreditation, that would have been a devastating blow to those kids and their families. And I could not live in a county and allow all of those families and children to be so negatively impacted. And at the end of the day, it was the most fun I've ever had. It's the job I've enjoyed the most, with being school superintendent in DeKalb.
You are, I think, the best description of a servant leader. How do you see yourself?
Somebody who tries. I fail so much. I
Failed at what?
at a lot of things. But I've already told Zola and Micaiah that, put on my tombstone, he tried. That's it. Didn't always succeed. Oftentimes came up short, but was never afraid to try to make a difference for my community and the people who I've been called to serve.
Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on Peachtree TV. Good night.